I started watching Gilmore Girls in middle school with my mom and sister. I related to Rory quite a bit, a shy, bookish girl who lived in a small town in New England. I also lived in a small town and wanted to be a journalist. A running joke was, did you base your life around Rory? And I kind of did. I hadn't rewatched it extensively since the original viewings until they relaunched it last Thanksgiving. That's when I realized the whole show is premised on the idea that Rory, an extremely privileged person, is slightly less privileged than the other extremely privileged people she hangs out with.
Why don't they think I'm good enough?
Rory.
I mean, I'm a Gilmore. Do they know that? My ancestors came over on the Mayflower.
The struggle over privilege is basically the root of all Gilmore Girls drama. And in the reboot, it is painfully obvious.
I have something for you.
For example, there was this really terrible moment with Rory's rich ex-boyfriend who says to her, you can just go write your novel in my second or third or fifth home in Maine or whatever. And she was like, no, I'm going to do it on my own. And then she goes and does it with her own rich grandparents. Even Logan can at least acknowledge his own privilege.
I'm a rich trust fund kid. I'm not ashamed of it.
No, and you shouldn't be.
For Rory, that's always been near impossible.
Wake up, Rory. Whether you like it or not, you're one of us.
Is hypocrisy worse than privilege? It's certainly more annoying. What was frustrating was that in the reboot, Rory's not just entitled, she's also a bad journalist.
Excuse me. I'm doing a piece for GQ. Would you be willing to talk to me?
Sure.
The remarkable thing about Rory was never really her smarts, but her work ethic. And yet, in the reboot, Rory is praised as this amazing young writer for writing a single one-page New Yorker story, but she's falling asleep during interviews.
What happened?
Don't know. You were out for a while.
She's struggling to make it as a freelance journalist, but keeps traveling to London on her non-existent budget.
I have to be back on the red eye to London tomorrow night.
London again.
And then she takes the unpaid job of editing the Stars Hollow Gazette while complaining about how broke she is.
No apartment, no car. Hell, my license expired 3 months ago.
For me, the show felt particularly close to home because I've recently lived through my years of trying to make it as a journalist in New York. And Rory's attempt is so embarrassing.
Moving home.
I haven't really gone back and rewatched the old episodes, but I remember there used to be a more nuanced depiction of the class differences in Rory's life. Her struggling single mom Lorelai was constantly trying to figure out how to make it on her own and went to some pretty extreme lengths to do that, often against her grandmother's wishes.
I found a good job.
As a maid?
I built a life on my own with no help from anyone.
There is obviously a place for a show about a single mom who rejects all the nepotism that she could have embraced. That's a great thing to explore. But particularly since Lorelai has achieved financial success by this time, the reboot doesn't have the same complexity and ends up revealing how problematic Rory's character has always been.
And you basically promised me the job was mine. You were a candidate. I'm just a little pissed here. I get it. You got your hopes up. No, you got my hopes up for a job that I didn't even want.
The parallels between some things in my life and some things in Rory's life became very apparent. It's not the fault of Gilmore Girls, but I have become painfully aware of it. I don't think I have to stop watching the show, but it's a good mirror to have held up in front of me that acknowledging privilege is probably the better way to deal with it.
I need money.
You need money.
For Yale.
You need money for Yale.
Stop repeating everything she says.
I'm sorry, I'm processing.